Right, so you want to change your accent. Do you know what you need to do in order to do that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today on the Accent Journey. Welcome back to the Accent Journey, the podcast for non-native speakers of American English who want to sound clearer, more confident, and more natural when they speak. I'm Steve Nelson, an American English accent coach with accentfirst.com. And so far in this podcast, we've explored many of the individual pieces of American English pronunciation: individual sounds, linking, rhythm, thought groups, word stress, back channels, co-articulation, and much more. But today I'd like to take a step back. One of the questions I get asked most often is, what should I actually practice every day? Now, of course, as an accent coach, I would say hire an accent coach because they're one of the best things that you can do to improve your accent. But what if you don't have an accent coach yet? Or if you don't have a lesson with the accent coach today, what do you do on your days off? You might have the motivation, you might even have the resources, you might even know what you need to do to improve, but you don't have a plan. So today's episode is that plan. I'm going to walk you through a simple daily routine that takes about 30 to 45 minutes and incorporates all of the skills we've been learning together. Remember, it's not about practicing perfectly, it's about practicing consistently. Before we talk about the individual exercises, here's one of the most important ideas in accent training. Many non-native speakers think they need to study for 2 to 3 hours on a Saturday, but then they don't practice again until the following weekend. That's usually much less effective than practicing for 20 or 30 minutes every day, or even 5 or 10 minutes. Accent change happens through regular repetition. Your brain and your speech muscles learn through frequent exposure and frequent use. Think about learning to play the piano. You wouldn't expect to become a better pianist by practicing once a week for 4 hours. You'd improve much faster by practicing a little bit every day. Accent training works the same way. All right, activity 1, listening practice, 10 to 15 minutes. Let's begin with listening. Notice I didn't say watch television. I said listen. All right, choose something with natural American English. You can go with sitcoms or interviews, or YouTube conversations, podcasts, documentaries. I like NPR radio. While you're listening, don't focus only on the meaning. Instead, ask yourself questions like, where do they pause? Which words receive stress? Which vowels sound different from what I expected? And what does the speaker's intonation sound like? In other words, listen like a pronunciation coach, not just like a language learner. Activity 2, shadowing, 5 to 10 minutes. If I had to recommend just one exercise for improving an American accent, it would probably be shadowing. Shadowing is simple. There's a couple different ways you can do it, but here's one option. You can choose 1 or 2 minutes of audio, listen once, then play it again. This time, speak the audio at exactly the same time as the native speaker. Don't wait until they finish. Speak with them. And try to imitate their rhythm, stress, intonation, pace, and emotion. Don't worry if you can't keep up at first. Nobody can. That's part of the exercise. Repeat the same short section several times. Every repetition gets a little easier. And look, if you don't have time for that, one easy way is to simply turn on a video or a radio or something that you can hear audio, a podcast, maybe this podcast, and just listen and repeat whatever you hear for 5 minutes. Everyone can find 5 minutes in the middle of their day or night, so you really have no excuse at all. Okay, activity 3, focused sound practice, 5 to 10 minutes. Next, spend a few minutes working on one specific sound. Just one. Not 5, not 3, not 4, just one. Maybe today it's th, as in think, or the R sound, or as in cat, or the difference between I and E. or the difference between oo and Choose one sound or sound contrast and really focus on it. Practice word lists, practice minimal pairs, practice short sentences. Then record yourself. Compare your pronunciation with a native speaker. The goal isn't perfection, but awareness. Activity 4. Read aloud for 5 to 10 minutes. Reading aloud is one of the simplest and most effective ways to improve your pronunciation. You can choose a news article, a short story, a blog post, even one of your own emails. Read slowly. Pay attention to thought groups, linking, word stress, reductions, and natural rhythm. If possible, record yourself and listen back. You'll often notice things you didn't hear while speaking. Activity 5. Speak every day for 5 to 15 minutes. Speaking is where everything comes together. If possible, try to have a conversation every day, maybe with a teacher, a tutor, a language exchange partner, a friend. But if you don't have someone to talk to yourself. Seriously, describe your day, explain your plans, talk about something you watched, tell a story, record yourself on your phone. This is called a speaking journal. It's one of the best ways to build fluency. The important thing is that you're producing language. Activity 6. Intonation and stress, 3 to 5 minutes. Spend a few minutes practicing the music of English. Take a sentence like, I went to the store and bought some bread. Instead of reading it word by word, break it into thought groups, which we've covered in a previous episode. I went to the store and bought some bread. Notice which words receive stress. Try tapping your hand or finger on each stressed word. Many learners find that physical movement helps them feel English rhythm more naturally. Activity 7. Micro practice. Here's one of my favorite techniques. Use the small moments throughout your day. You're making coffee, you're walking, you're driving, you're waiting in line. Practice one phrase. For example, can I get a cup of coffee? Repeat it naturally. Experiment with rhythm. Try saying it a little faster. Can I get a cup of coffee? Then a little slower. Can I get a cup of coffee? These tiny moments add up. 5 one-minute practice sessions are still 5 minutes of practice. Putting it all together. Okay, let's review your daily routine. Listening 10 to 15 minutes. Shadowing for 5 to 10 minutes. Focus sound practice for 5 to 10 minutes. Reading aloud for 5 to 10 minutes. Conversation or speaking journal, 5 to 15 minutes. Intonation practice, 3 to 5 minutes. Micro practice, whenever you have a spare minute. Not every day will be perfect, and you won't be able to do all of them in every day. Some days maybe you only have 15 minutes. That's okay. Doing something is always better than doing nothing. All right, now let's finish with today's shadowing passage. First listen, then pause the podcast and read it out loud several times. Then try recording it yourself and compare your rhythm, stress, and intonation with mine. First, I'll read it slowly. Every morning, I spend a few minutes listening to American English before I start my day. Then I practice speaking by reading a short article out loud and repeating a few challenging sentences. Later, while I'm walking or making coffee, I practice short phrases with natural rhythm and intonation. Small practice sessions throughout the day help me improve little by little, and over time those small improvements become lasting habits. Every morning I spend a few minutes listening to American English before I start my day. Then I practice speaking by reading a short article out loud and repeating a few challenging sentences. Later, while I'm walking or making coffee, I practice short phrases with natural rhythm and intonation. Small practice sessions throughout the day help me improve little by little, and over time those small improvements become lasting habits. When you read this passage, focus on smooth rhythm, natural thought groups, word stress, and confident delivery. Remember, you're practicing the melody of English, not just the words. Here's one final important reminder. Accent improvement isn't about finding the perfect exercise. It's about building the habit. Some days you'll feel like you're making huge progress. Other days you'll feel stuck. That's normal. Keep showing up, keep listening, keep speaking. Because every minute you spend paying attention to your pronunciation is another step towards sounding more natural. All right, this week I have a different challenge for you. Instead of focusing on one sound or one pronunciation pattern, create your own daily accent routine. Write it down. Decide, what will you listen to? What will you shadow? Which sound will you practice? What will you read aloud? When will you fit in your micro practice? Then try to follow that routine for 7 consecutive days. Don't worry about perfection, just build the habit. Thanks for listening to The Accent Journey. This podcast is brought to you by Accent First Speech Communication Services and is hosted by me, Steve Nelson. Drop us a line at info@accentfirst.com. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player, leave a review, and let us know what you think of the show. Until next time, keep listening, keep practicing, and remember, a better accent isn't built in one day, it's built a little bit every day.